So my question is about what you said earlier about Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson's qualifications for the Supreme Court, and how you mentioned that she was unable to define what a woman is, and I'd like to compare that to Justice Barrett. So Justice Jackson went to a public high school, attended an Ivy League law school, clerked for the Supreme Court, was a public defender, served on the Sentencing Commission, was a district judge, and served on the Court of Appeals. And as for Justice Barrett, she was a Supreme Court clerk, and she also sat in the Court of Appeals. And when she was being questioned by the Senate during her confirmation, she was asked to name the freedoms of the First Amendment, which she struggled with. So my question is, what makes Justice Justice Barrett more qualified than Justice Brown?
First of all, what does your shirt say? I can't see that.
Trump 22, 24 years in prison.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, got it. But we could talk about that in a second. I was like seeing double. I was like, are you a Trump fan or not? Because, yeah, obviously not.
Wow, so Charlie there gets in a little zinger there, right? About the Trump quote with the kid with the t-shirt, and basically saying, obviously you're not a Trump supporter. Obviously you're not. Anyways, folks, welcome back. Welcome one and all. You're watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. And what's on tap for today? Well, as you just saw, Charlie Kirk is going to show us how you win a debate and how you can win a debate each and every single time by listening, asking the questions, and then basically putting the other person on the defensive. Let's continue and see what Charlie has in store for this young man.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, how is Ketanji Brown Jackson's Ivy League credentials impressive if she got in with affirmative action? Why is that impressive?
Oh, right off the bat, folks, right off the bat, he comes right after him and hits him with the affirmative action. Now, what are you going to basically have to say about this now? What are you going to say? You can't. It's basically game over. Game, set, and match right from the very beginning. He's going to put him on the defensive because now you got to scramble. And what can you say? Judge Brown got in because of affirmative action in every single aspect of her life. That's what was going on. Or at least that cloud is underneath you when people are going to ask, did you really get it in because of your own merit? Or was it because you were put there because you didn't have the chops, but it was the liberal, elitist, progressive thing to do? Let's continue.
And by the way, Amy Coney Barrett did her entire hearing without a shred of notes in front of her. You remember that? She had nothing but a notepad, all from memory. Ketanji Brown Jackson, I will just ask you, do you think it's important that one of the 9 people determining the most important interpretation of our laws knows what a woman is?
Silence.
Well,
he's thinking.
Well,
I want to give this kid a lot of credit. It takes a lot of guts to stand up in front of a crowd. He's obviously nervous. He's thinking his thoughts. But you know what? And the crowd's letting him, the crowd isn't getting on him. So the crowd is really, really being nice to him. There's some stuff in the back. Listen, you got to expect that or whatever. But they're allowing him to continue. Charlie is basically allowing him to continue, dangling that sort of, rope in front of him, with the little velvet feather.
my counter to that is that we shouldn't really be seeing the world in black and white. And a woman it's more than what.
This kid, he pulled it out of his derriere, folks. Pulled it right out. I mean, just took it right from there, right? Just took it, pulled it right out. Go to the old ploy. The world isn't in black and white. No, there's 50 shades of gray. Of course course there are. It's 50 Shades of Grey. And some purple and some green and some brown and some blue and some black. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff going on there, whatever. Let's continue.
Meets the eye for a definition.
No, it's not. No,
No,
we
it's
should
not.
see the world through male and female. Yeah.
Why?
Definitely. Well, why? Because I live in reality, not in Narnia or some sort of weird created academic abstract space that doesn't exist.
So, why shouldn't a person be socially welcome to identify with gender outside of the binary?
Well, anyone can pretend to be something they're not, but that doesn't make them the thing that they're not. Can I be black?
No.
Oh, but why can't I socially become black? Blackface, right? I can pretend, wear camouflage, masquerade as something that I'm not, right? How's that different than a trans person?
Race and gender are two completely separate things. They have nothing to do with each other, and the existence of being transgender does not imply the existence of being transracial.
So you can pretend to say that you have ovaries when you don't, but you can't put makeup on to pretend to be a black person.
What trans
And here again, Charlie points out really the absurdity of this young man's argument. Because as soon as you start talking with a leftist or liberal progressive and they talk about transgender rights, and then you basically bring up the fact, well, why can't I be an animal? Why can't I be a wolf or a dog or a cat? Or why can't I be older? Why can't I be younger? You know, why can't I be Asian or Latino or Hispanic or Mexican or whatever the thing is, Chinese? Why can't I be that? Or black? Why can't I be that? They say, oh, because transracial, that's different. That has nothing to do with being transgender. And Charlie points out the absurdity very nicely, very calmly, and basically just asks the question right back. These are the ways that you win debates, but you have to be able to have the facts on your side and be able to ask those questions that keep putting people or your opponent on the defensive, having them to answer. They're almost just like basically you're counterattacking, but your opponent isn't going to be able to counterattack back because there's no validity to the statements. They're all absurd that are coming, from this young man.
transgender women are claimed to have ovaries?
There's lots of men that pretend to have ovaries. In fact, the CDC guidance says right now that men can chest feed. Do you think men can chest feed?
Another question, right back at your opponent.
That's not the sole criterion for being.
So let me ask you a question. What is a woman?
A woman is someone who identifies as one.
Answer the question without saying the word woman. You can't say the word woman. That's called circular reasoning. It's like saying a tree is something that looks like a tree. So I'll ask again, what is a woman?
Charlie's pressing his advantage once
A
again.
woman is a person who lives a lifestyle aligned with feminine characteristics, not necessarily your chromosomes or your genitals.
So someone who just wears a dress. So what you are doing is you are reducing womanhood to a costume.
Score one for Charlie. That's how you do it, folks. That's how you do it.
No. So, are you suggesting that, like, a transgender woman goes about her day pretending to be a woman, but then when she gets home, she starts acting like a man?
No, delusional in every part of life. I understand that, but that doesn't mean they're not delusional. There's a series of mental conditions where you could pretend to be a wolf. Can you be trans species too? Does your own mental condition dictate external reality? Yes or no?
Another question.
Not necessarily.
Probing.
Okay, then why do you believe that a biological man can become something that he is not? Because he thinks it.
Because gender is not interchangeable with sex.
Yeah, right. So there are zero genders. There are only two sexes. Gender is a made-up term that started in the academy in the 1960s. Talking about sex, which is the only thing that actually can be proven and that matters, XXXY, I will ask the question again, why is it that a man can suddenly become a dress and can be treated exactly the same as a woman that is biologically, not just biologically different, but somebody has a different brain, a different hormonal system, menstruate, have children? I'll be very honest with you. It is so unbelievably insulting to women to have men have to lecture that all it takes is some weird dude with testosterone can put makeup on, wear a thong and a dress, and he suddenly becomes a woman.
Oh, don't forget, Charlie, you forgot the high heels and the lipstick, right? You forgot all those things, right? Once again, Charlie is showing the effective ways of debating your opponent by taking their own words and literally sending them right back to your opponent to answer a question basically made up from the fact that you've taken the opponent's own words and asked him to defend it, especially if they're absurd or they're indefensible positions. And that's exactly what Charlie is doing here. And I believe he's been being very respectful to this young man. The crowd is being very respectful for this young man. It's a nice exchange going back and forth. But Charlie is just scoring points right after the other. And this isn't one of those, Ben Shapiro takes down student. Ben Shapiro crushes, Charlie Kirk, smashes, student. No. This is a very systematic way. It could have been this could have been a professor up there, folks, with the same ideas. A PhD professor with the same ideas would have been basically saying exactly the same thing. And Charlie would have been asking the same exact questions, sending them right back to say, defend your position.
Here's at the essence of the issue, is that no matter how much surgery you do, no matter how many drugs you take, you don't stop being the thing that you were born. You don't get to determine your reality by a stroke of the will. I don't deny for a second that the trans person thinks that they are. Certain people think that they're younger than they are. Some people think they're taller than they are. Some people think they're richer than they are. Some people think they're innocent when they're not, like Bob Menendez. There's plenty of delusional people in this world. It's up for society to say no to the delusional and yes to reality. It is for us to not allow us to be reined under the tyranny of somebody's imagination. Do you have a response? And then we'll wrap it up.
You know what? I think, Charlie, this was a very respectful debate from both sides. You could see that this young man was trying to come up with like a question to ask, but I think he even realized that every time he put something out there and it came back to him, he was able to put it out there, but he wasn't thinking that he would have to defend it. And that's exactly what happens when you have debates like these and you're talking with people. They think that everything that they're talking about when they're throwing... See, the difference is he was throwing out feelings. Now, you can throw out some facts and you can have some studies behind them. You can have actual factual numbers that basically support your position. Now, those are going to be... you're going to be able to defend those because you can cite the studies. You can cite, where those numbers are coming from. But when you're just throwing out feelings or you're just throwing out, nonsensical definitions of words, it's very hard, especially if somebody's skilled as a debater, to realize that that's an opening for them. And that's exactly what Charlie has done here and what a lot of great debaters do if you want to win the debates. Anyways, folks, we thank you for watching the show. You've been watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I've been your host, Dr. Nasir, the doctor of the democracy, the MD of the Republic. If you get a chance, subscribe to the channel. We hope you like our content. I'll leave with my final thought, which is, when you're right, you're right. And when you're left, you're wrong. We'll see you again next time, folks. Take care and stay safe.